Collecting birds' eggs, of course, is now illegal, but it wasn't when I was a boy 80 years ago, and I too had a collection of birds' eggs. And I blew them simply by taking a pin and making a hole in one end, and then one in the other, and then blowing it. But professional egg collectors were more thorough and neat about it. They started with a little needle which they created a small hole like that, and then they used one of these and enlarged the hole. And then you take a little glass pipette like this, and there it is, the egg is blown. And this is what the collectors collected, the empty, dead, lifeless outer cover of an egg. By discarding the most essential part of an egg, collectors were able to preserve their fragile shells. Here at the Natural History Museum in Tring, there are more than 1 million eggs from historic collections. Made illegal. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't ask questions of egg collections that are already in museums. And some of the answers they provide are very surprising. It was by studying museum collections that scientists discovered exactly why some populations of birds, like the song thrush, had been in decline ever since the Industrial Revolution. They found that the eggshells had been getting thinner. The birds had been unable to get the calcium they needed. And that was because they normally got that calcium from snail shells. And acid rain had killed the snails. Again, in the 1960s, historic eggs exposed another calcium-related crisis, this time when populations of top predators like raptors, owls and herons suddenly crashed. It was measurements made on eggshells in museum collections that showed only too clearly that the reduction in thickness of the eggshell coincided exactly with the introduction of DDT. 0.5 millimeter of calcium. That's the difference between life and death. So what more can we learn from eggs? Well, deep in the basement of the Natural History Museum in London, one of the most important eggs in the world is going to be gently interrogated to see if it will surrender any of its secrets. This is the oldest egg in the museum's collection, and it's about to be placed within one of the most advanced and latest pieces of technical equipment here. What makes this egg so special is that it was laid by a great auk, a giant seabird that became extinct in the 19th century. There are only 70 of these eggs left in the world. This is a 3D X-ray microscope, and it will scan the entire structure of the egg. Whoever it was who collected this egg back in the 1700s could never have imagined something like this. The research is being led by Professor Birkhead.
It's a unique opportunity for us to use this fantastic technology here to explore the egg's structure so that we can infer something about the biology of the great auk that we don't know. It's very exciting.
We know the great auk was a relative of the guillemot. But what no one knows is whether they bred in a similar way, packed tightly together in fecal squalor like the birds we saw on Skomer.
The guillemot's egg, when it's resting on its cliff ledge, which is where it's incubated, the blunt end is raised up, because of the shape of the egg, is raised up out of the muck that guillemots typically breed in. And we think that the additional pores there is an adaptation to allow the embryo to breathe under these rather dirty conditions.
The egg is a fragile link back to a vanished past.
As you can see, this very beautiful patterning is just exquisite.
The shape of the egg is similar to that of the guillemots. But what about the pores?
And now we can take a slice through the shell. So this is now a cross-section. You can see a pore here, running from the outer surface of
The results are a complete surprise.
Interestingly, it turns out that great auk eggs are much more like the egg of a razorbill than they are of a guillemot, so strikingly different.
The razorbill is another seabird relative of the great auk, but it breeds in clean nests that are spaced out. Their eggs don't need a high density of pores at the blunt end, unlike the guillemot egg that's adapted to dirty conditions.
Razorbills don't have that problem because they breed in very tidy nests. They defecate outside the nest, whereas guillemots breed in very messy circumstances.
Amazing, amazing. So while the egg shape suggests that the auk bred like a guillemot, its pore structure reveals that in fact it's likely to have bred like a razorbill. One ancient egg and one modern machine have revealed a tantalizing glimpse into the life of an extinct bird. And as more technological innovations come along, who knows what other mysteries egg collections of the past could help us solve.
Well, the extraordinary full series of Planet Earth is available now on BBC iPlayer. Or next tonight on BBC Two, The Plays The Thing, from Moriarty to